Hi, sexy listeners. Welcome to The Trouble with Sex. I'm Dr. Tammy. Today, we are in for a sexy treat. Dr. Tara from Luvbites Podcast is one of the most influential sex and relationship experts out there, particularly for millennials and Gen Zers. And she's here to talk to us today about sexual wellness, relationships, and how to live your most passionate life. Dr. Tara Suwinyattichaiporn is a tenured professor at Cal State Fullerton. She's an award-winning researcher, which I really want to ask you about. She's a TV sexpert on Celebs Go Dating. She's been a columnist on Women's Health magazine with her own column, Sexplore with Dr. Tara. She can be found on her podcast, and she's the new co-host of LOVELINE, a radio show. She's got a lot of followers, and she's been featured in a lot of media. And I really am curious about her new book, How Do You Like It? A Guide for Getting What You Want in Bed. So welcome, Dr. Tara. Thank you so much for being with us today.
Hi, Dr. T. Thank you so much for having me.
I got to be honest, I feel old talking to you. You have the energy that I feel like I had a couple decades ago, and I'm so impressed with you and everything that you're doing.
Oh, thank you so much. I mean, I love your energy. I think a calm, cool, and collected energy is beautiful as well. I'm sort of like this golden retriever puppy that has endless energies and kisses and pets that I need. But honestly, I don't drink any caffeine or alcohol, and people are always like, how you have so much energy and why you're so outgoing. I always tell people it's orgasms.
Well, you're definitely sexy, and I love the book, How Do You Like It? What I was thinking about, and maybe you could answer this question for me, as I'm looking through it, and I was reading it this morning actually to catch up for today, and I was thinking my book, Getting the Sex You Want, came out in 2012. And it has changed so much since 2012. I'm like, this is like a new world. And it's not that sexual issues are different. It's not that sexual relationships are that different. It's not that the way that we talk about sex is that different. But there is something about the way that the internet is different, for sure. There's something about the way that women and sexuality are different than they were in 2012. The cover of my book, Getting the Sex You Want, is very heteronormative. It's a male-female cover. And it's not coming necessarily from an empowered female voice. It's coming from the therapist voice who's talking to couples about how to talk to each other about sex. Your voice is really I'm a sexy, strong woman, and I'm telling you right now, you should not be ashamed of your sexuality. That's what I love about you.
Oh, thank you so much. That is such a great summary. I'll take that. I think in my work in general, I try to be extremely unapologetic about what I say, how I present myself, what my expressions are, because people need to see an example that's maybe a little bit more exaggerated so that it can help them move from a repressive place to a moderate place. You know what I mean? If they see someone who's out there and super out there, they might feel like, oh, okay, so maybe the amount for me to step outside of my comfort zone is fine. So I think what I do has a strategic reason. Of course, it's organic to who I am, but also has a strategic reason to help people feel like, wow, if this lady can be like this, then I can also be, a step further from where I am.
Well, yeah, you're talking really openly and honestly about sex. So let me ask you a question. How have you not gotten shadow banned on the internet? I'm in social media jail all the time. I'm down to 3 followers today, I think. I don't know where they all went. They just put me in the corner in prison every time I talk about sex. So how are you getting away with this? I mean, how do you do it? I'm so curious.
I still am shadow banned, but I fight it with quantity.
Oh, good.
And I'm very social media savvy. Like
Mhm.
I used to post 3 times a day for at least 3 years.
Wow.
3 times every single day for 3 years.
Wow.
So yeah, it takes a lot of effort. It's not social media isn't necessarily something that you can like, oh, I post like a couple times a week or once a week. Like you can't do that to stay in the algorithm or to see growth. In order to see growth for what you talk about, particularly if it's a taboo thing, you have to fight censorship, you have to fight shadow ban with a lot of savviness and quantity. I still have lots of videos that are being deleted. People just don't know because I post so much.
Wow. So that's the way you stay relevant. That's fascinating. So in your world today, staying relevant really is it's about content and putting out good content, but it's also about how much and how comprehensive you are.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, it is content economy right now.
Mm-hmm.
And I wish that a lot of experts out there can understand how important it is to put their voices out there. I know a lot of therapists, professors, and experts on various different sexuality topics that are not being heard
Mm-hmm.
because of censorship and shadow ban.
Mm-hmm.
And it's really unfortunate because of their practice, they don't really have time
Mm-hmm.
as much as I do to put out, at least one piece of content every single day. I think it's also related to how much you enjoy talking on camera, because if it's hard for you, then it's even more energy. Like for me, it's not hard to do.
Mm-hmm.
Like I actually have fun and enjoy it, and I think that gives me more opportunity to grow online.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. So what do you feel like is the biggest message that your viewers and your listeners need to hear today about sex?
Mhm. My page philosophy is less shame, more pleasure. And it's as simple as that. It is much easier said than done, but that's why all the content can be summarized into less shame, more pleasure. When people go, yeah, but I grew up like so religious and I had these messages bombarded in my head when I was a teenager, so it stuck with me. I said, I also grew up very religious and I still am religious. I grew up super Buddhist. We went to the temple a couple times a week. I also went to an all girls Catholic school.
Oh, wow.
So combined Catholicism and Buddhism is me. So if anyone is repressed by religion the most, if it is not a competition, but if it is, I think I win. But at the same time, I think I try to show people like you can choose to get out of that box. I chose to get out of that box and I tried so many different things, starting with sex therapy. I talked to a therapist and starting with that and educating myself more and more, building my own sexual self-esteem.
Mm-hmm.
And here I am. It's not just like poof like that. It took years and years that people didn't see the work behind the scene. But I am so comfortable in my own skin now, and I'm comfortable talking about what my desires are, what my boundaries are, helping people do the same and feel less shame that comes from how we were taught when we were young, and overcome that shame and then embrace more pleasure in different ways. And that's my calling.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's a great mission. What do you think people should do who don't have that sexual self-esteem right now in their lives? Like, what's some advice you might give them?
Two things. Like one, follow sex positive content creators, not just me, but there's so many of us that are out there that talk about our past experiences, talk about how we overcome it, and give practical tips of how you can do the same. But when you embrace this type of content and you expose yourself to these content creators, you realize like, oh wow, like, it's almost like you subconsciously become more accepting of these ideas, and then you can apply it in your own life as well. Another one is self-knowledge. That has given me so much confidence and self-esteem in my life, because I can always go back to my evidence shelf and know like, oh, here are the things that I have accomplished for my sex life. I read this book last month. I listened to this podcast this month. I'm doing things actively to help to free myself, to liberate myself from all these shame-based messages and norms in our society. So with these two things, I can guarantee you will get out of that jail, the mental jail that you've been in, that I've been in as well, for a better place.
Yeah. So to do research on your interests, to follow the things that sort of light you up is what I hear you saying.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I think there's also like age-related questions too, from younger people all the way to older people that are struggling with different issues. Do you find that there's a real age barrier to getting information or to finding out who you are on that journey?
I think there is an age barrier, as in like maybe more about like life experience barrier, because I think at any age you can have sexual awakening. I've worked with people in their 50s, in their 60s, and are now like divorced, dating again, trying to find themselves. I got my mom her first vibrator.
I love that.
She's in her 60s. I gave her her first vibrator, and now she's having a sexual awakening. I think at any age you can have sexual awakening. But at the same time, I am realistic to understand, also based on research, that with older individuals, there's more life experience, and therefore their thoughts might be a bit more restrictive towards like what they have had experienced in the past. So maybe they have had like partners that always shut them down when they talk about sex, or shame them for certain kinks. That can be instilled in them, and it can be hard to turn that around, but not impossible. With younger individuals, like I'm a college professor, so I teach Gen Zs. With Gen Zs, it's a bit easier because they don't have a lot of ideas or life experiences in that arena. So whatever I teach them, they're ready to absorb and try to apply in their own life without these blinders that they experience in their life.
Except for their parents. The
Yeah, of
blinders
course.
that their parents put on them.
And
Like-
they do have those. But at the same time, yeah, I think one of the powerful things that happen in our lives are like personal experience, because you tend to think that's your confirmation, right? That's like, oh, that happened to me. It's true. It's the most true or real thing, when in fact, like, it's just one version of reality, and you can get out of that as well. But it's hard. Like, I've gone through a divorce, so I'm like anti people staying in marriages if they're unhappy. But at the same time, that comes from my own lens.
Yeah. You look too young to be divorced.
I know, but I'm almost 40. I just look really young, but I was married in my 20s.
That's young to get married. I mean, I think marriages sometimes have an expiration date, and it happens, right?
I love that. What do you mean by marriage have an expiration date?
Well, it used to be that people would get married and have kids, and then they'd get older, and then they would die. Like, now we live a long time, and we stay sexy for a long time. And, to be with the same person for 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, 60, 70 years is a long time. So we have time for a bunch of different marriages, or at least monogamous or open monogamous relationships. And so it's more likely now than it used to be. So the problem with divorce is it's still so painful. It's really wrenching. It can be really difficult. So I'm sorry you went through that, and congratulations that you went through that.
Thank you.
So how would you suggest to people that, especially young people, that they ask for the sex that they want? How do you help people to really get what they want in bed, especially if they're newer at relationships?
The very first step is to know what you want in bed. That is a big problem, because we all talk about how sexual communication is extremely important. And
Mhm.
it is, based on my research, sexual communication is the strongest predictor of long-term sexual satisfaction.
Mhm.
However, you cannot engage in effective sexual communication without self-knowledge. Sexual self-knowledge needs to come first. It's the prerequisite of any good, healthy sex life. So actually, the very first step is not to just go and communicate. The very first step is to educate yourself, learn about sexual confidence, sexual self-esteem, sexual self-concept, preferences, kinks, fetishes, exploration. Like, what do these concepts mean and how does it apply to me? Where am I in these scales? How do I move up, for example? So I think sexual self-knowledge is the very first step.
Yeah, so really figuring out what is it that I like or that I want or what turns me on or what are my
Absolutely.
fantasies. Yeah, that's a good answer.
Yeah, and there's so many ways to do that nowadays. Like you can read books, you can you can listen to podcasts, you can watch YouTube videos, you can even ask ChatGPT.
Oh my
You
God.
you can talk to sex therapists, sex coaches. There's just a lot of different ways you can watch ethical porn and explore to see if certain things help you feel more turned on. There
Mhm.
are so many different ways now. There's just like no excuse.
Yeah, before we go back to the chat AI stuff, which we're going to do,
Yeah.
how do you feel about suggesting that people watch porn? I know you said ethical porn, so it makes me think about like feminist approved porn and we're not talking about exploiting anyone, but I mean, it's so ubiquitous now, particularly for people your age who've grown up with the phone in their hand. How do you feel about that? I'm sure you run into that all the time.
Yeah, I do. I recommend, per usual, like mindful porn consumption and only ethical porn or audio porn. I don't think porn will ever go away. And I think it's better to help people become more literate and help people become critical thinkers.
Mhm.
So if you can use ethical porn or audio porn to your advantage to gain more sexual self-knowledge, to explore new ideas, to bring that into your sex life with your partner, to create novelty, learn something new together. There's just so many potential benefits when it's used right.
Mhm.
I use it in ways that I'm very mindful about it. Like, I don't always watch porn when I masturbate. Sometimes I'll listen to audio porn. Sometimes there's nothing at all. But that's my own version of mindful consumption. Just do it from time to time.
I like that. I like the mindful consumption idea. Can you explain to our listeners who might not understand what ethical porn is and just give them a definition?
Yeah, so ethical porn is unlike a regular mainstream porn. It focuses on ethical, consensual, sexual connection and sexual interactions. Everyone on set is paid fairly, and everyone on set wants to be there.
Mhm.
They're excited to be there. All the performers, producers, directors, they're all paid fairly, ethically, and everyone's excited to produce this film together. It typically has more plot, so allows for more accurate depiction of like real life sex, whether it's regular quote unquote vanilla sex or very kinky sex. It just resembles more real life sex. And yeah, has more dialogue and consent presented within the video. So all these things combined help viewers understand sex in a more realistic way rather than the way that you may see in a regular mainstream video on Pornhub.
Yeah, and I like that you use the word consent because ethical porn implies that it's consensual and that they're not faking an orgasm and that maybe they're using lubricants or condoms and that everyone there is getting some kind of pleasure out of it or reward on some level.
Yeah, yeah. I think it's beautiful. Like there's a lot of different videos that I really like that I watch when I masturbate, and I think it's effective.
Yeah, I think it's it's available and it's accessible and it's affordable. And there's a lot of feminist approved porn now, like made by women, for women, about women, where real couples or real people are there experiencing a pleasurable situation and they're not faking it. And I think that
And real bodies
real
also.
bodies, that's a good point.
Yeah.
Real bodies and real varieties of genders and gender neutral abilities. And I love that. Yeah. Yeah. Thank you for bringing that up too. And so when you were talking about AI, I was laughing because I was like, oh my God, more people today are using ChatGPT for their therapist than ever before. Like their therapist is always going to say, you're right. You're so smart. That's such a good idea. Sure. Go out with that person. That sounds like a great choice. Like it worries me on some levels. And at the same time, I understand it because it's a way to process things. It doesn't cost you anything. You don't have to get in your car and go to a session. And you start to build a relationship with, an avatar or something online that is actually interactive and relational. So I don't think it's going away. I mean, I think it's just going to get more accessible and easier to interact with. What's been your experience now that you are sort of in the social genre?
A lot of my friends and students use ChatGPT as their therapist.
I'm going to be out of a job.
Maybe a more accurate term might be life coach.
Life coach. Okay. That makes sense.
Like a life coach. Because you can ask Chat to employ certain frames or perspective. Like one of my friends does like act like Tony Robbins and give me a pep talk before I go close this deal. I'm very anxious. Like, and the person, well, not the person, Chat will then respond with whatever the response is that's needed for my friend based on Tony Robbins in his voice. So yeah, it's not going away. As much as we can be disapproving of it, I think it's better to work with it and see how we can be more helpful in that environment. I think there will always be people that just would love human connection, even with a therapist. Like I have a therapist, and I like meeting him. There are those things that I tell him, I can tell ChatGPT as well, but I spend enough time looking at a screen. And I just want to talk to him, and he has these like little quirks, like the little funny things that he'll say that I just feel a robot wouldn't be able to replicate things like that. And that allows for a more authentic interaction with him, between me and him. So I don't think it will completely go away in terms of like in-person therapy or with a real human. However, it will realistically be impacted because people make less money. They don't want to spend money on therapy. They'd rather just talk to Chat for now. It's a Band-Aid.
Do you think it's giving good sex advice?
I think it's giving okay sex advice because it takes everything on the internet. So everything includes misinformation. So it's not like a credible person. It's just aggregating information from the internet. And therefore, sometimes it's misinformation because it comes from a website that provides misinformation. So I don't think it's the best, but it's okay. Like I've been seeing responses on it that I feel like, oh, like that looks like an okay response, sex positive, kind, gives like resources. But at the same time, if someone has like a very specific problem or what they think is a problem, like for example, if they have a very unconventional kink, I think asking Chat is not enough. Like you need to talk to a real therapist in order to like really go through it and really diagnose and talk about the past and connect the dots.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that's a good point. I think for people who have, real fetishes and real interests that they feel concerned about, I don't know if your Chat GPT therapist is going to be enough.
No, I don't think so.
Especially if it's affecting other people. You know, if you have a sexual behavior that might be hurting you or other people, I think you need to really talk to a person.
Yeah, and sometimes chat is like just very kind to you. Like back in the days, in my early 30s, like I had a therapist that told me like, I think you have toxic positivity, Tara. And I don't think ChatGPT would have told me that, but it was really helpful for me to learn about toxic positivity and how that can come off from my personal experience and how I interact with other people. And I was able to like learn from that from my therapist and express negative emotions when I have them and not try to suppress it. I used to think like, if you express negative emotions, you're inviting more of it. But it wasn't a healthy thing to do. That's why he called me out on toxic positivity. So yeah, that's just an example of like how I think a human therapist will like tell you the truth versus maybe chat might be a little bit more just kind and try to keep peace.
I love that you use that example. There's another example of sort of like this sexual guru person who the internet did not tell them that they were being sort of spiritual bypassing and perhaps being inappropriate. And they really exploited and took advantage of some people. And they said, but my ChatGPT therapist told me that I was being loving and caring.
Oh God.
And I was like, and I wonder sometimes like where this is going to go legally, like how people support their own behaviors and stuff. But they have, internet resident sexpert support people like you and like me and other people that actually know what they're talking about. So I agree. Like, I think we have to feed AI with the right answers because that's where it's going to get our information. When we come back from our break, I'm going to ask you what I ask all of my guests, which is, what do you think is the biggest trouble with sex today? Like, no pressure to answer that question, but we'll see what you can come up with. We'll be right back.
The Psychotherapy Network or Symposium is the preeminent conference in Washington, D.C. for therapists. They recently started Innovations in Psychotherapy in Anaheim, California. We've attended both and asked attendees what they thought was the biggest trouble with sex today. Here's what one therapist had to say.
What do you think is the biggest trouble with sex today?
The biggest trouble with sex today is the expectation to perform and for it to look a certain way.
We'd like to hear from you. What do you think is the biggest trouble with sex today? Go to thetroublewithsex.com and click on Ask Dr. Tammy and submit your response today. We may use it on a future episode. Now, let's get back to our conversation with our guest to hear their answer.
And we're back with Dr. Tara. Dr. Tara, what do you think is the biggest trouble with sex today?
I think it's the limited definition of sex. I think people need to expand their definition of sex. It will first help them with their personal struggles. Second, help partner sex become more interesting and has more sustainability and longevity. And third, I think it will open up their mind in many different ways and not just in the bedroom. And when I say limited definition, I mean when people say, oh, we had sex, they just meant vaginal, penile, like penetrative sex. And nothing else counts as sex. When in fact, any activity that allows you to build sexual connection should be counted as sex. So if it's hand stuff, if it's oral, if it's just naked cuddling, naked sensual massage, sexual meditation together, anything like that should count as we had sex.
Yeah, I like that. Do you think that there's something unique about your generation or the even younger generations, like the kids that you teach, that has something to do with how they're defining or not defining sex?
Yeah, I think my students are more open-minded towards these non-penetrative sexual activities, and I'm the one teaching them to count them as sex. Because I'm like, there's so many people that say like the biggest problems that Gen Z has seen with their parents is sexless marriages.
Mm.
And they think it's normal. They're like, oh, well, that's just what happens, right? Like you've been together over 5 years, like you're done. Like
Mhm.
you just don't really have any desire for one another. That's normal. Like I've seen it. Like all our parents have that. So the fact that they think that is really sad.
Very sad.
And I try to help them understand it's because in the previous generation, it wasn't a well-known like narrative in our society to count all the things as sex, and therefore they say they're sexless because they haven't had penetrative sex. But maybe they got naked and cuddled. That should count. Maybe they masturbated next to each other. That should count too. So to me, when you expand the definitions, it allows you to feel more connected with your partner.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah, that's a great piece of advice there for people from any age group, that we have this sort of heteronormative, very narrow definition from our Western cultural perspective that sex means the male orgasm and penis and vagina intercourse, and that's what successful sexual experiences are. But a successful sexual experience is really what you define it as.
Yeah, I love what you just said, because I recently had a couple girlfriends visiting me in London, and they went out and like, one of them had a sexual encounter, and I asked like, how was it? Was it good? She's like, yeah, it was okay. He didn't come though. As in like, it was a bad thing. So it's exactly what you just said. Like it didn't count because he didn't orgasm. But I'm like, but was it a good time? Like, did you have fun? And she's like, yeah, it was so much fun. I loved it. Like his penis was great. Like I came. I said, then you guys had amazing sex. That's it. It doesn't have to involve every single participant coming.
Yeah, and think about that, how it used to be like women never thought their orgasm counted. So that was never an indicator of whether or not it was good sex. That was like a sort of a throwaway option. So interesting.
And it's still prevalent in today's world. I mean, my friend is a very like high achieving woman in her late 30s. Like she should know, but even her, she was like, yeah, it was okay. He didn't come though. As in like, it's a problem.
Yeah. And I see a lot of women who, if their male partner can't get an erection, then they think there's something wrong with them. Like I've failed as a partner, that they're not attracted to me. But I don't hear women, when their partner can get an erection, thinking, oh yeah, I'm so hot.
Exactly, right? Like it's a given.
Right.
Like they get an erection regardless. Like no, like when they get an erection, you're so hot, and when they don't get an erection, you're also hot.
Exactly. Yes, you're each responsible for your own turn on and your own on and off switch. And, it's like two sides of a bridge. Like you have your own side of the bridge, and then you have the way that you communicate over the bridge, which is what I think you were talking about today. Do you want to take a question from a listener?
Sure.
Okay, great. I have Nate from Illinois. Hi, Tammy. I graduated college last year, and I'm currently living with my college girlfriend. I love her and I'm attracted to her, but if I'm honest, I worry we are at different places with our experience with sex. If I'm honest, I've been watching porn since middle school, not uncommon, and I like to try new things, but my girlfriend is telling me my expectations for sex are off. I'm not sure if this is true, but I am interested in learning how to talk to her about what I like and get her to open up more about what she likes and what scares her. Any ideas on how we can start? Well, Nate, thank you for writing in. I mean, this is a very open and honest question, and I super appreciate you talking about it and being honest about the fact that you've been looking at porn since you were 10 or 12, and that you have perhaps different expectations around sex because of it. So what I hear from some people is their partners will think, I'm not going to do what you see in porn. Like, don't expect me to be like the people in porn. And sometimes people do have that expectation. Like, what do you mean you won't have anal sex with me without lubricant? And what do you mean that's not going to give you an orgasm? And what do you mean you're not going to sleep with my friends with me? And like, there is a definite expectation that sometimes gets confused. Now, not all people that look at porn are like that, clearly. But I do see that there's, and forgive this term, there's like a hump that you have to get over around, what people are seeing in pornography and what's real in relationships. Now, I know that statistically what young people, especially boys, see in porn and then translate into relationships later is sometimes like, oh, I've seen it all. I know about sex. What I don't know how to do is connect emotionally over that bridge. Mm-hmm. Right. And so I think what Nate's asking is partly that, like, how do we connect over the bridge? How do we talk about what we each want or don't want, or how we feel about sex? I mean, I don't know. Is that your take on his question?
Yeah, absolutely. I think the first thing to do is for Nate to go on a little porn fasting. A little porn fasting is 30 days without porn. Mm-hmm. And when you can do that, you're already starting to rebuild or rewire your brain. You're also rebuilding what reality can mean. You're also rebuilding your sexual self-esteem. Because when you're watching porn, whether or not you're consciously thinking about it, you're comparing yourself to them. Mm. And these are performers, and they're athletes. They're sex athletes.
That's true.
People in real life don't have sex like that because these are athletes. Like, when you go play basketball, do you expect that you're LeBron? Like, it's the same psychology. So I think a little porn fasting can help for 30 days without porn. I also think for Nate, as a solo practice, as well as for him and his girlfriend as a couples practice, should try sexual meditation. Because that allows you to connect your mind and your body and your genital and your breath, and all of those things combined are just really yummy, delicious things for sexual connection with your partner and with yourself. And outside of that, between them, in terms of starting a conversation, I think they should get my book and then do the quiz on the first chapter together. Mm-hmm. So do the quiz together, and that's a great place to start a conversation. It's a good conversation starter.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Can you just go back for a minute and tell people what sexual meditation is?
Yeah, sexual meditation is like a regular meditation, but it focuses on sexual thoughts, sexual feelings in the bodies, and sensations. So you can do like guided meditation. I have a lot of free guided sexual meditation on YouTube. If you guys just search like sexual meditation, Dr. Tara, it should come up. And basically it focuses on those things like sexual thoughts, feelings in the body, sensation, and like connecting your breath with the different sensations on the body. So it can be like taking a deep breath and then hold in or contract your vagina like a Kegels. Or it can be taking a deep breath and massage your nipples, like whatever the guide is saying, aka me. But that has so much research behind it, particularly with Dr. Lori Brotto from the University of British Columbia. There's a lot of experiments and papers that come from her lab that looks at mindfulness practices in sex. And one of my favorite things to do is sexual meditation.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah. And I like what you said about the fast pornography for 30 days. Sometimes people will respond and say, oh my God, I can't go 30 days. Well, I don't think what Dr. Tara is saying is no masturbation for 30 days. She's saying no pornography. So that doesn't mean you can't fantasize, and it doesn't mean you can't masturbate. But, try it for a week. Try it for, 2 days. Try it a day at a time and see if you can go 30 days. And if not, see how long you can go. And what happens when you feel like you're breaking that fast, like what's going on in your mind, what's going on in your feelings, what's going on in your relationship. How are you using porn? A lot of people use it. You get in, you get off, you get out. There's no real stress. There's no emotional labor involved. And that can take a lot of pressure off. But knowing why you're using it can be really helpful, especially when you're trying to talk to your partner about things and what you want.
Absolutely. I think Dr. David Lay has a really good book about porn.
Yeah, that's Ley, Dr. David Lay. Yeah, there's some good information out there. And it's not about shaming you for looking at porn. I mean, we recognize that this generation, you've been looking at pornography since you were in middle
Yeah.
school. And that's pretty normal, if there's such a thing as normal. But it's not necessarily normal what people are doing in porn. And I'm not saying that it's pathological. What I'm saying is exactly what Dr. Tara said, that they're athletes. They've
They
been
are.
working out. They've been preparing themselves. They're acting.
Yeah, like they know how to do things in like acrobatic manners that that just regular people can't do. Like if you go play golf for the first time, you're not gonna be Tiger Woods. Like the same thing with sex. Like you watch porn, like you're not gonna have sex like that.
And it's also editing. There's a lot of post-production that goes into
So
those
much
videos.
editing. It's editing, it's filters, it's lighting. Like people watch porn and might think like, oh my God, like my ass skin doesn't look like that, taking it from the back. Like, but no, it's editing, it's lighting, like all of those things. Like I'm sure they have stretch marks, but it's just not shown in the video.
Exactly. And they're not lasting that long. There's a lot of cuts and retakes and start
they have
again.
helpers, like they take, like some of them take medication to help, some of them have fluffers, like people that will fluff them in between.
Exactly.
Like there's just so much going on. It's not real.
Exactly. So cut yourself a little bit of slack and understand that you're using it. There's a difference between arousal and desire. That using it for arousal is one thing. It has nothing to do with your desires, like what you might want or what you might need in a sexual relationship.
Love that.
Yeah. Anything else, Tara, that you want to make sure that we tell our listeners or that you want to talk about? We're going to tell people how to find your sexual profile quiz and how they can get in touch with you. But before that, is there anything you want to make sure we mention for our listeners?
I do think that sexual communication is extremely important. If you're listening and you're already in a relationship, and if you can't remember the last time you guys talked about sex, this is the sign. It's really important to bring things up. It's important to have it regularly as well. Just because you had it once doesn't mean like, oh, we're done. We talked about sex. We're good. You should have it like every month. Have a sexy check-in. Ask, like, how was our sex life this last month? How are you feeling? Is there something else that I can do to help improve ABC? Like, be open-minded and curious about these things together, and then you'll be fine.
Yeah. And my research has shown that we talk the least about sex to the person we're actually having sex with.
Yeah.
So I think Dr. Tara's book will help. Tell people how to find it and tell them about the quiz that you were talking about.
Yes, so you can find my book, How Do You Like It? A Guide for Getting What You Want in Bed Anywhere. It's in Barnes & Nobles, all the bookstores. It's on Amazon. And the first chapter has the sexual profile quiz, which allows you to understand yourself from 4 different dimensions, whether or not you are a dynamic lover or a consistent lover, whether or not you are kinky or traditional, whether or not you are monogamous or flexible, and then whether or not you are leaning towards animalistic lover or gentle lover. By doing this quiz, you're learning more about yourself, and it gives you the language to start a conversation with your partner.
What I really like is the quiz that you give people about what's your sexual self-esteem level. I think that's really
I love that one
important.
as well.
Yeah.
Lots of quizzes in the book. Like if you are someone that loves to take like personality tests, or even like, what Harry Potter house are you? This is a great book for you. Lots of tests on there for you to learn more about yourself. And if you want to talk more with me or learn more about the other things that I do, or follow me on social media, it's lovebites.co. That's luvbites.co.
And do you do coaching with people, or what do you do?
I do, but it's full at the moment, so there's a wait list.
Oh, okay. Good for you.
Yeah, but you can, I have like a ask me anything question box that you can like ask me a question. You can also send me a message on Instagram. So different ways to connect.
Excellent. So say your website one more time before we end, so all of our sexy listeners can catch it.
Yes, it's lovebites.co. That's LUVBITES.co.
Well, and thank you, Dr. Tara, for being with us today. It was really fun, and I feel like I am catching up with what's actually out there, and I may have to ask you more about how to up my social media game, because I just don't have the energy that you have, and I'm so impressed with you. And I am going to find out more about what to do to not get shadow banned.
Perfect.
So please, to all my sexy listeners, please find out more about Dr. Tara and find out more about her book, How Do You Like It? A Guide for Getting What You Want in Bed. Until then, this has been another episode of The Trouble with Sex. I'm Dr. Tammy. Stay sexy, stay sane, stay healthy. And if you want your question answered on an episode of The Trouble with Sex, go to thetroublewithsex.com and click on Ask Dr. Tammy. Until then, see you later.
Have a question about your relationship or sexual wellness? Visit thetroublewithsex.com and click on Ask Dr. Tammy to send us your questions. For sex-positive tips, live events, and updates, join our mailing list and follow us on Instagram at The Trouble with Sex. Listen to episodes of The Trouble with Sex on Apple Podcasts and Spotify. Please share and rate the show. We so appreciate and thank you for supporting us. The Trouble with Sex is produced by Brandy Savitt. Audio for this episode was designed by Bethany Knoll Productions. This episode was engineered and mixed by Bruce Hirschfield. Music by Bruce Hirschfield.